Well, hello to all my comic book friends out there. It's me, GhostCritic. Thank you for joining me for another comic book review video. It's Sunday and I only had 4 books on my pull list last Wednesday. You'll already know that because you've already seen the video, haven't you? So this one should be quite a short jaunt as I give you my thoughts, opinions and reviews of these 4 books I picked up. And for those of you who've been here a while, you know that I kind of put them in order from least liked to my pick of the week. With 4 books, it was not necessarily difficult, it was just that there was nothing particularly wrong with the kind of lower tier books, the ones that you're going to see first. But they certainly didn't match the spark of my #1 pick this week. Just for, I don't know, shits and giggles, have a guess right now what is my pick of the week. The 4 books, I'm not going to tell you what they are now. You should have watched Wednesday's video. Be warned, I will be talking spoilers, story points, cliffhangers, what may be coming, and all that jazz. So if you've not read any of these books, fast forward it, stop it, read your books, come back, however you want to do it. But I would never want to spoil anything for you. Let's kick off with the one that I'm reticent to say least liked because I did enjoy it, but it's the final issue of Charles Soule's Astonishing XMen run, issue number 12. This is A Man Called X finale. And as much as I enjoyed it, there was nothing here that I didn't see coming. I know the hero has always got to win, kind of. We have those grey areas where, sacrifices are made, kind of lower tier characters die but has a supposed huge effect. And it must be very difficult to finish off a storyline, especially such as this, in a kind of fresh and appealing way. But I don't think really Charles Soule did much different than, as I said, I was expecting. The Shadow King is released from the kind of dream limbo world he was trapped in and is now on Earth to spread his hate and despair. And of course he starts off with our Astonishing XMen as they battle against the Shadow King. With X out of action, it's up to Psylocke to lead this team and do the best in taking the Shadow King down. But already that despair, that power of the Shadow King has already seeped into all the Astonishing XMen, and we see them battling their inner demons. So you have the old man Logan, who is still kind of beating himself up about killing all the X-Men in his future world. You have Bishop struggling to always keep vigilance, to have things like this not happen and his future not occur. We have the battle that rages between the Angel and the Archangel persona of Warren Worthington, Rogue and Mystique. They have their own inner demons. Rogue, thinking she is nothing. She's only somebody when she actually touches someone and takes on their powers and their thoughts and their memories. And so they're going through it all, but of course nothing is as it seems, and our X character, which potentially may be Xavier back in a younger body, we don't quite know that yet, but he manages to kind of literally put himself back together again, and with the help of Psylocke and using the kind of telekinesis web or whatever it is from all the telepaths around the world, they use their powers to bring down the Shadow King, which we always knew was going to happen. They kind of nonchalantly and literally throw Shadow King out into the barren land wherever they are, so I'm sure he will come back in some shape or form in the probably not so distant future. But it was the best thing about this was actually the ending, where X uses his powers to give each one of the Astonishing X-Men not necessarily a get out, but a feeling to try and overcome their demons. So he gives Warren this, it's all the kind of buzzwords. So Warren gets choice. So from now on, he can now choose whether he is Angel, whether he is Archangel, or whether he just wants to be Warren Worthington. He has that power within him. It doesn't overtake him. He can switch whenever he wants to now. Gambit gets purpose. And I didn't know that he was purposeless in some way, but this is clearly leading to Gambit and his connection with Phantom X and the debt that he owes Phantom X. I don't know what that debt is, but that is going to help him in some way. Mystique and Rogue get understanding, and that is that they are not they're not no one, they are their own person. Bishop gets permission, and that is the whole idea that, you know, Bishop is always vigilant. He is always on the job. He does not want his future to come to pass, and will do, you know, anything to stop that from happening. So X has given him the option to, you know, have a day off now and again, relax, and let go. And then Logan, the old man Logan, he gives vision, and I guess that's just a case of, you know, it's almost a second chance. You've seen where the darkness is and where it's coming from. Don't head down that pathway, go to the light. And to top it off, for all of them, apart from Psylocke, he gives them oblivion, which is basically a nice fancy way of saying you're going to forget all this ever happened. But Psylocke doesn't get that choice. She has to remember everything that happens for some reason. And then we are left with X, who's saying he's not Xavier, he is X. And he has a new dream. What is that new dream? Maybe we'll find out in the next part, written by Matthew Rosenberg, with art by, unfortunately, Greg Land. Not a big fan. But it was a nice wrap up, but like I said, nothing I wasn't ready or prepared for. Paper Girls issue 21, yes, it's back after another brief hiatus, which kind of hurts this book again and again, because after reading this, as much as I was enjoying what was going on in it in some respects, you do feel that this is kind of meandering and has lost its way somewhat, and doesn't have a clear path to what Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang are trying to achieve here story-wise. The artwork, however, is very nice in here, and I'll get to that. So all the Paper Girls, along with a future version of one of them, are in the far future now. And while, yes, they've just been kind of transported there, they're not going there for a specific reason, because they just want to get back to their own time, really. There just seems to be no direct plot for what they're going to do next, apart from hide, apart from find out where they are. And that's basically what this issue does. The girls are trying to avoid some sentry guards kind of things, sentry kind of robots that are going flying all over the place looking for them. So at first they hide out in the best place possible in a big old crowd, and this is part of the gorgeousness of the art going on here by Matt Wilson and Jared K. Fletcher, because normally you get very kind of moody colours here. I mean, you see them on the outskirts of this big city metropolis, and it's all very dark, subdued, dark pastel colours. But once you get into, as I was just showing you, the main city, it's all very vibrant and colourful, and you don't often see this kind of brightness in Paper Girls. It's always very kind of dark and subdued. So it's nice to see a fresher look on this environment. You have this, I mean, it's always these kind of flashbacks that they have. It always leads to what helps, I guess, the story along, at least character-wise, the way it's driven that way. Because you get a brief look at Mac, who is at a library, booking out a Sweet Valley High book, which she seems to be a little bit ashamed of. I'm not quite sure why, but that obviously leads into them going to find a library in this future world. You wouldn't think that libraries still existed in the far-flung future and it would all be online, or, you know, some magical technology that you just link to your head and you know stuff. But libraries are still there. They may be being used for something not of the reading material, but the buildings are still there. However, they reach this tree, the tree of knowledge. Oh, it's all very religious. But yes, this is basically, I guess, a depository for all knowledge. And by picking the light baubled fruit from this, it can Mac can speak to it, find out where they are, and the big question that clearly has been haunting Mac for a while is, in this far-flung future, is there a cure for leukemia? Because she already knows she's dead at a certain point in her future because she has this cancer. And the tree goes, yes. So are we going to see Mac cleared of her disease and potentially, I guess, mess around with time? This is not meant to happen. So Paper Girls is always a great book for character-driven stories, but as a story arc over the whole, it's a bit disparate. It's a bit all over the place and not with a kind of singular idea that this is what is occurring. Yes, we've got all the kind of sci-fi elements. We've had this time travelling backwards and forwards. We've had, you know, older versions and younger versions working together, or not, as the case may be. But I just don't see a clear storyline with Paper Girls. However, I will continue with it because that's the kind of guy I am. It's a sort of new #1 from Marvel this week. Doctor Strange, new creative team, Mark Waid and Jesus Sayers, on a new era, a new volume per se of this magic occult title from Marvel. I didn't notice this at first. I should have seen this on Wednesday, but it's funny if you look in the top left hand corner, it might be in issue 1, but they've got a little LGY, stands for legacy, and the issue it would normally be, which is 391. That's clearly, I wonder if that'll stay until issue 400, where they'll revert back to the main numbering so they can have a big special. They do. Okay, Doctor Strange. I did wonder about this title and how we were going to get Doctor Strange into space, because that's the setup, the concept for the next story arc that we've been teased with as Donny Cates' great run on Doctor Strange was coming to an end. And it is here how this happens. And the lead up to it is quite emotional. We have a flashback to Doctor Strange being Doctor Strange at his full sorcerer supremeness, tying up the rips in reality, pushing, you know, the dark dimensions, the demon dimensions, pushing their way into our universe. And obviously it's up to Doctor Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme to push them back and keep them where they're meant to be. and it's all very glorious and what we expect of a Doctor Strange adventure. But obviously that is short-lived, because we head 7 years into what is the present day, and obviously because we've read from the beginning of the revitalisation of Doctor Strange that magic is now no more. Thanks to Jason Aaron and the Empiricum, or Empirical, I can't remember what they're called. Magic is pretty much no more on our universe, and this affects, and now we truly see the effects of this on Doctor Strange as he starts losing his magical, I guess, occult, supernatural side. We saw right at the very beginning of this new volume of Doctor Strange, Jason Aaron showed that Stephen Strange sees our universe very differently, and he sees all the supernatural, the demons, and how they live kind of overlaid against our universe. But now he's lost that sight because there's no magic left in our universe. There is no source for him to draw on. All his little trinkets, his wands, his amulets, they are basically just bits of stick now. They're fancy costume jewellery, even down to his cloak, which no longer can levitate or float. It is just there lying on the ground. And this has a profound effect on Stephen, where he has to decide whether he's just going to become a normal guy, living a normal life. And of course, someone who's had all the adventures that he has in the past, this is never going to happen. He can't live an ordinary life now. And he goes to a very strange source indeed to help him gain it back, and that is in the guise of Tony Stark, Iron Man, who basically, you know, he's of the science stuff and all that kind of stuff, technology and computers and all that, and I don't know if he's necessarily willing to embrace magic side, but he gives him the option that there must be other Sorcerer Supremes in the universe today, and they'll be out there in space, and that is where he goes. And as always, things don't go to plan. The spaceship that Doctor Strange is flying to, a pre-designated coordinate set by Iron Man, goes off course after being hit by, I guess it's kind of like a meteor storm, and he lands on this world where they don't even know what the word magic means, and he's captured and thrown in prison. I thought this was a really great issue, and a great new starting point for a new era of Doctor Strange. I guess I said in the comments on Wednesday, I think it was either Jared or Terry, I can't remember which one, but it must be difficult in this day and age, after 70, 80 odd years of comics, if not more, to come up with fresh new ideas. So I guess the only way that you can keep things relatively fresh is put our characters in environments that they are unfamiliar with, that they don't really fit in with. I mean, you have the whole kind of the whole space and universes and galaxies. It's very much science led, and not so much, I guess, magic led. So having these two juxtapositioned together should make for an interesting story, and I will go with Mark Waid on this. I've always enjoyed his writing on Daredevil, on Black Widow. He was really good, and all the other countless books he's written. I've always enjoyed what he's written. So I think this is going to be really fun. Again, I said this on Wednesday, Jesus Says artwork can be hit and miss for me at times. I'm not quite sure what it is that I often dislike about it, but when it is good, I do really enjoy it. I mean, there's just this gorgeous kind of almost repetitious decreasing panel size of Doctor Strange, in I guess the fits of almost depression as he realises he is becoming what is essentially a normal man. I'm okay with it at the moment. I don't think it's fantastic. It does have this kind of painted quality that I do like, but it's just a tad off for me. But I still think it's great. It's not awful by any means. So I'll obviously still be continuing with Doctor Strange because I love the character. I'll be interested to hear what you, after reading it, have thought too. So, did you get my pick of the week correct? Did you get it right? Did you know that it was always going to be Black Science, issue number 36? What a magical book this was this month, and so unlike previous issues of Black Science, because it really pared back the whole idea of the big action sci-fi epic and really just closed in on our two main characters and trying to get them back together to clear up all the bad feelings that they have for each other. That is in the case of Grant and his wife, ex-wife Sarah, and bring them together hopefully to move on, and then we're obviously going to get the final story arc where we hope everything will come together and everyone will live happily ever after. So last issue we have them finding this complex which caters specifically for every single dimensional version of Grant and Sarah in a kind of couples counselling facility. Now last issue they tried a very much direct approach, you know, how your lives could have been if you hadn't been together. Sarah could have followed her acting career and become a world famous actor, and Grant could have gone on and done everything he wanted to do and they wouldn't have ruined each other's lives, but you know, their paths will always cross. So I'm guessing the complex, this facility, takes a different tact, and we have this wonderfully evocative, dreamlike environment where Grant and Sarah both meet basically everyone they've ever met that have had a good effect on their lives. Whether it's school teachers, whether it's parents, brothers, sisters, family members, you know, the postman, they're all there at this wedding for another couple. And throughout this, there is this beautiful conversation that the two have with each other, and you see them starting to work out their problems and to almost come together as one unit to realise that they can overcome all their issues, all their marital problems, and make it through to the other side. Now, I've always been a huge fan of Matteo Scalero's artwork, and you would think, and his action sequences, his adventurous sequences are always fantastic. So you would think this kind of stripped back, not basic, but a very kind of insular storyline which focuses more on people talking, the kind of party atmosphere, the art may suffer, but no, he is still just as good at these kind of small poignant moments, and it's still just as gorgeous as ever, and the moments, you know, you can feel the love of these creators in every page of this book. And I just can't, I mean, if you read one issue this month, even if you've never read an issue of Black Science before, just read this one. It is emotional, it's, as I said, it's magical and just beautiful to look at. Rick Remender, Matteo Scalero and Marino Dionisio have just done wonders with this book, taken us down paths that we weren't we weren't ready for. I mean, I was not ready for this issue. I did not see this coming. And I can have this and take it and have it with me for many, many months to come. And it didn't need any action, no kind of space monkeys, big robots, explosions going everywhere, people running away to escape. I didn't need any of it. I just needed these two to have a conversation, to work out their problems. It was beautiful, and that's all I can say. And those are my books this week. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully this will be a much shorter video than usual, though I know there's some of you out there that love a good long video. But this week it is not to be. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget, if you're new, to subscribe if you want to see much more of these. Thumb them up, hit the notification bell so you don't forget or you don't miss out on any of my videos, because you will be notified. And leave some comments down there and I'll try and respond as soon as I can. Love listening to all your thoughts and opinions too. Thanks for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye bye.